Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will see the issue of WTO trade negotiations on e-commerce. In today's Hindu newspaper, there is an editorial which is titled as Digital Trade Juggernaut. Okay, Digital Trade Juggernaut, and this is related to the WTO trade negotiations on the e-commerce and digital trade. Okay, let's see what is the context. The context is Australia, Japan and Singapore signed an agreement, or they convened an agreement called JSI. This is called Joint Statement Initiative. These three countries, they convened WTO agreement called Joint Statement Initiative, and this is related to digital trade and e-commerce. Okay, what is the issue when these three countries have signed an agreement? Why is it an issue? It is an issue because more than half of the WTO members objected to this JSI. Okay, we will see why did they object, and we will also see the solutions. Okay, the issue is the more than half of the WTO members objected to the JSI, and such an objection was led by India and South Africa, which are called the major emerging economies. Okay, major emerging economies. Understood? Because of this, because India has objected to JSI, this issue becomes important from GS3 point of view. In GS3, in the issue of economics or global economy or global trade under WTO or e-commerce, this issue of Joint Statement Initiative that was signed recently by Australia, Japan and Singapore, this issue becomes very important. And we'll see about WTO, and then we will also see what JSI is, and then we will discuss the advantages of e-commerce and then the solutions to the issues that were posed by India and South Africa. First, let's see the origin of WTO. WTO, which was established in the year 1995, and it succeeded GATT, which stands for Global Agreement on Trade and Tariff. Okay, the year becomes important. You need to know when it was established, and WTO succeeded GATT agreement. Okay, and what is the objective of WTO? Why did WTO come into place? First one, it aims to establish rules-based order in global trade. The second one, it aims to remove the barriers for trade. Okay, when it comes to barriers, we have two kinds of barriers. One is called tariff barriers and the other one is non-tariff barriers. Okay, you need to have a complete idea about what tariff and non-tariff barriers are, and also the differences between tariff and non-tariff barriers. The disadvantages caused by such barriers is also becomes important. In this context, I would ask you to go and study the provisions of free trade agreements and also the impact of free trade agreements on India. Okay, this becomes important because when it comes to free trade agreements, it is like we will not have any kind of tariff and non-tariff barriers when it comes to bilateral and multilateral free trade agreements. So what will be the impact of free trade agreements on the Indian economy, and why did India step away from signing RCEP? See, one issue is related to many other global economic issues. Okay, when you're studying economics, mostly the world economy, you have to study on these lines. Okay, I think you're following till here. So we have seen the objectives, and the next one is the headquarters which is situated at Geneva. Okay, this becomes important from prelims exam point of view. This becomes important from prelims point of view. Okay, now let's see, what do you mean by joint statement initiative? WTO Joint Statement Initiative on E-commerce. It began in January 2019 and it is convened by Japan, Australia and Singapore. Okay. Why is JSI important? It is important because after the COVID-19 induced lockdowns, we saw supply chain disruptions, and there were issues in supply chain management and also delivery of goods and services. Okay, you might recall that during the lockdowns you were not allowed to step outside the house and most of the transactions happened online through e-commerce websites. Okay, in e-commerce in India there's a monopoly over brick and mortar systems by Amazon and Flipkart. Okay, Flipkart. These are the two e-commerce giants that dominate Indian market. Okay, because of such a transition from brick and mortar or an offline mode of transition to online, the JSI, which deals with the global e-commerce trade negotiations, becomes important and it came into limelight. Okay, here you can see the share of e-commerce increased from 14% to 17% in 2001. Okay, this becomes an important data. If such data is written in the mains exam, it will add a great value to your marks. I'll just show how you can represent such kind of data through graphs. Okay, here you can write 2020, here comes 2021. This is 14% and this is 17%. If you write such diagrams in your mains answer or in your essay, it adds a great value to the answer. These kind of diagrams and data is what defines an aspirant who has got the rank and the aspirant who has failed to clear mains. Okay, inculcate such kind of diagrams anywhere you have such data. Practice these beforehand so that in the examination hall you will be able to use these diagrams and get good marks. Okay, what is the issue? What is the issue with joint statement initiative? First issue is the monopoly. Okay, we spoke about the monopoly in the Indian market. When it comes to the global market, there's a monopoly of Amazon, Walmart. These are the two giants that compete and dominate the world e-commerce market. Okay, because of such a monopoly, if the trade negotiations, that is joint statement initiative, is tilted towards Western countries, then the major part of the globe, including Asia, Africa and parts of Europe, will be discriminated. Okay, any startups or the MSMEs, we will talk about the damages to MSMEs. Such kind of MSMEs or the small industries will be damaged because of the over liberation that is given to e-commerce companies through joint statement initiative. Okay, I hope you have understood the monopoly point. And the second one is with respect to data protection. Any data that is with the Amazon or the Walmart will be used by that particular company in order to promote its business. Okay, and this might lead to data theft or violation of privacy. Okay, we have seen the example of Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, where Facebook was alleged that it sold users data to Cambridge Analytica so that the Cambridge Analytica can process the data and improve its business. This is how the data can be used data can be used to promote business and target the users. Okay, it is also said that data is the new oil. Okay, data is the new oil. This shows the importance of data or the information in the present day context. Fine. Data protection is also an issue when it comes to joint statement initiative. Third one, we have discussed the damages that such an e-commerce causes to the local businesses, local small scale businesses. And the last one is the divide and inequality. Divide in terms of developed and developing countries. If JSI, which is agreed by USA, Canada, Australia, Japan, and most of the developed countries, has the tilt towards developed countries, creates a divide between developed and developing countries when it comes to the digital trade or e-commerce trade. So these are the issues that are related to JSI and also e-commerce. In spite of these issues, e-commerce becomes important to India's economy. We have already seen 17% of the transactions happened through e-commerce in the year 2021. So what are the advantages? Why are people moving more towards e-commerce, and why is it a booming industry? First one is with respect to the economy. We'll see with respect to economy. Why is it important? First thing is it creates employment from the manufacturer, logistics, storage, packaging, delivery, and also IT solutions. E-commerce creates a whole lot of jobs. So creation of employment is one of the biggest advantage of e-commerce. Second one, access to essential services. During the COVID-19 lockdowns, when people were not allowed to step outside the house, it was e-commerce industries that came to the rescue, and essential services were delivered through online mode. And the next one is low input cost and productivity. When there is a low input cost, when setting up an e-commerce industry, you don't have to set up retail stores, wholesale, and the IT wholesale and IT solutions will do the job. It requires very less investment when it comes to the retail setting up. Because of this, it will have a low input cost and also increased productivity, and it also saves time. Okay, it boosts, it acts like a ripple, it's a ripple effect. It boosts transport, storage, packaging industry. Okay, all these industries are ancillary industries to e-commerce. So let's see the advantages from the side of user. First thing is the time saving. Second one is better competition and comparison. User will be better equipped with information in order to compare the products of the same value, and he'll be able to take a better decision. This is why the e-commerce is important and is advantageous in this aspect. And the next one is the provision of information. Even in the offline, when it comes to the offline mode of transaction, few information that is vital might be withheld from the user's point of view. But when it comes to the online mode, with the help of reviews, and star ratings, which you all are aware of, and star ratings, user will be in a better position in order to take better decisions. Overall, it improves the lives. And also women empowerment. Women empowerment in the sense, women can have work from home, and can run their retail businesses through online. This is how e-commerce also helps in women empowerment. So here you are relating GS3 with GS1. GS3 with GS1. Okay, then what is the way forward? What is to be done in this aspect? First one is level playing field has to be created between developed and developing countries, so that there won't be any divide between developing and developed. We can call it as there will be no digital divide. Second one, data sharing and localization policies has to be in place. Data sharing in the sense, what are the rules that regulate the data sharing and processing? And also, few countries have gone for data localization. Data localization is a policy, in, for example, in which if India forms a data localization policy, it says any data that is collected by a foreign firm has to be stored and processed in India itself. Okay, the data should not leave the territorial border of India. That is called data localization. Data localization helps in the sovereignty, in maintaining the sovereignty of the country. Sovereignty of the country. So what are the issues with data localization? You might feel data localization is good for the Indian economy. There is a disadvantage also because of such localization policies. Multinational firms that we call MNCs has to shell out more money in order to create servers and storage spaces in India. They have to shell out more money in order to create the storage spaces and processing units in India, which will eventually increase the cost. If the cost is increased, it reduces the competition. And that particular firm will be in disadvantage against the Indian local firm. I think you are able to relate things. This is the reason why many of the global giants are not in favor of data localization. Next one is the stricter compliance mechanism. As of now, India does not have any data protection law. We do not have data protection law. In yesterday's video, I asked you to comment the committee that was formed to formulate data protection law in India. Now I'll be giving you an answer. It is B.N. Shri Krishna Committee. B.N. Shri Krishna Committee was formed. To draft the data protection law, and it is still under process. So while having a data protection law, every country has to have a stricter compliance mechanism so that the data is protected and the user is also protected. As usual, we'll see the question in the end. Question goes, do you think e-commerce is detrimental to the local MSMEs? Do you think e-commerce is detrimental to local MSMEs? In this context, explain the WTO negotiations and the issues involved in global digital trade. As I always tell you, divide the question into two parts. The first part is, do you think the e-commerce is detrimental to local MSMEs? Here the question is directly asking your opinion. So you have your opinion that is based on rational and facts. Okay, you need to be rational and you need to present facts, where if you think the e-commerce is an hindrance to the local MSME, present it with a fact. If not, also write the data in which you can derive your opinion from. In this context, explain the WTO negotiations. WTO negotiations in the form of JSI, Joint Statement Initiative, and the issues involved. We have discussed the issues of privacy, digital divide. Okay, discuss those issues with respect to the global trade. This is how you split the questions and answer this. Okay, thanks a lot for watching the video. For more such enriching content, please subscribe to Legacy IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice day.